Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan, and happy Thanksgiving. Now, I know this Thanksgiving is probably different from any other Thanksgiving you've ever had. Maybe you're not around your family or close friends. Maybe you're spending this Thanksgiving alone because of this pandemic. It's in moments like this we begin to understand just how important the people close to us really are. While we're on that subject of family and close loved ones, I thought it'd be a good time to discuss the relationship between Din Djarin, aka Mando Dad, and his little baby Yoda. We're a season and a half in with The Mandalorian, and everyone thinks they're one of the most adorable pairings in TV history. But upon closer inspection, Din Djarin is actually not a great Mando Dad. He's not even a great caretaker. As a matter of fact, he's put Baby Yoda in direct danger on numerous occasions, which is probably why Child Services will need to step in at some time and intervene. Today, we're going to give you 10 examples when Din Djarin just fails as being a Mando Dad. By Chapter 12, the Razor Crest is in pretty poor shape. It's been dismantled by Jawas, shot at by enemy fighters, crash landed on an ice planet, and then fell into a salty ocean. Repairs were made, but by species that had flippers for hands, so there are clearly still major issues with the Razor Crest. Din Djarin decides it's a good idea to use his little baby Yoda to do some wiring inside the airframe of his ship. It's way too small for a normal human to access, but the baby Yoda can walk around inside the walls with no problem. It is, of course, very dangerous to have a baby do electrical work, especially without the proper certifications, equipment, or tools. It should be mentioned that most of the inside of his ship was submerged in salty water, so the likelihood of electrocution happening while working on the electrical system is pretty high. In Chapter 2, Din Djarin returns back to the Razor Crest and finds a tribe of dirty Jawas stripping it for parts. After failing to kill them all and preventing them from running away, the Mandalorian has no choice but to strike a deal with these little thieves. He needs to retrieve the egg of a mudhorn for all of his stolen parts to be returned back to him. I'm not really sure if Din Djarin knew just how dangerous a mudhorn is, but he definitely should not have taken his baby with him on that hunt. And as we can see during the hunt, the mudhorn almost kills Baby Yoda in the middle of that battle. It would have been a lot better to leave the baby, with someone safe, like the Ugnaught. Din Djarin is a weapons expert, so he naturally knows the basics when it comes to firearm safety and use. But time and time again, the Mandalorian goes into battle holding Baby Yoda in one arm and firing a blaster with his other arm. I understand it might seem like the Mandalorian is protecting the Baby Yoda, but the reality is he's one giant shiny metal target. And while his Beskar can handle most blaster projectiles, the Baby Yoda cannot. So either give Baby Yoda his own set of tiny, shiny Mandalorian armor, which would be awesome, I really do support that, or don't bring him along to the gunfight. An example of a not safe place to leave a child is inside of your Razor Crest, which is full of tools, weapons, and spare parts. Din Djarin does this quite a lot, like on that one mission where he has to track down an assassin. He kind of just leaves the Baby Yoda inside of his ship all by itself. Luckily, when the Baby Yoda escapes and just casually wanders out of the ship, a friendly mechanic decides to take care of him. There are a lot of strange and dangerous aliens in Mos Eisley that would love to eat a little tiny Baby Yoda who was roaming around unsupervised. Din Djarin repeats this mistaken episode later while partaking in a prison heist. This time, not only does he leave the Baby Yoda behind on his ship in a small compartment, he's left a potentially deadly droid on board as well, whose main purpose is to assassinate people. Luckily, Din Djarin gets back in time to save his child from the deadly droid, but so many things could have gone wrong here. Again, it's probably a good idea to leave the baby home when you're trying to break into a max security New Republic prison. While the Razor Crest is a poor example of a functioning ship, it's still a lot safer than the other deadly contraptions that the Mandalorian puts the Baby Yoda on. In Chapter 10, while heading back to Mos Eisley, Din Djarin has the Baby Yoda strapped to the back of his speeder bike. Look, I love riding two repulsor engine crafts, and I know there aren't seatbelts or airbags on a speeder bike, But not only is the Baby Yoda not secured, he's not really protected either. He's just flopping inside of a tiny cloth bag. He also lacks standard protection you would wear while riding a speeder bike, like a helmet or body armor. Din Djarin's religion makes him go AT-GAT, or wear armor all the time, so he's protected. He even has a jetpack which allows him to avoid slamming headfirst into the dirt when a bunch of bandits pull the old rope across the road trick. Baby Yoda, on the other hand, is still in that cloth sack, and so he hits the ground probably at well over 50 miles per hour. Given the fact that his head is a good portion of his entire body, he most likely received some head trauma and a concussion as well. This is the classic example of why you don't leave a tiny baby with a rugged bachelor. It's just not a good idea. To make matters worse, his concussed baby gets picked up by a bandit who then brings a vibroblade to its throat. Although Mando Dad gets Baby Yoda out of the sticky situation with a pretty slick move, I would argue that getting the Baby Yoda in a hostage situation in the first place is extremely irresponsible. A lot of us have potentially dangerous jobs, but we don't take our babies to work with us. One of the biggest challenges any parent faces when they have a child is preventing them from putting random stuff that might be dangerous into their mouths. In the case of Baby Yoda, Din Djarin does a terrible job of preventing the little guy from eating all sorts of nasty critters, ranging from little frogs to disgusting spider hatchlings. Then there's the whole issue of Baby Yoda eating the frog lady's eggs. This is messed up on so many different levels. First, the frog lady was sentient, and eating a sentient thing's eggs is probably morally wrong. These eggs are also the frog lady's last batch, so they are quite important to her. As usual, Din Djarin leaves Baby Yoda unsupervised, which leads to the little green guy eating several frog eggs. But instead of informing Frog Lady about what happens, the Mandalorian just sweeps it under the rug. That's not only bad parenting, it's also being a bad role model to the Baby Yoda. Sometimes taking care of a child is not just about protecting it from other people, but protecting other people from your child. When a 5-year-old shoots someone with a blaster, it's not the 5-year-old's fault, it's the parent who gives them access to the blaster. The Baby Yoda might look adorable, but he's got a ridiculously high midichlorian count and could do some pretty ridiculous things with the Force. As Baby Yoda's Mando Dad, Din Djarin really does need to find someone to train the Baby Yoda, and he better do it quickly, or else one of these days Baby Yoda might accidentally just explode someone with the Force. So far, we've only seen Baby Yoda choke Gina Carano out, but luckily the Republic shock trooper's neck is built like a tree trunk. Our 10th and final reason why Baby Yoda should be taken by Child Services goes all the way back to when Din Djarin and Baby Yoda first meet. The Mandalorian was sent on a mission to eliminate or capture a target. At the time when the Mandalorian took the job, he had no idea who the target would be, aside from the fact that it would be around 50 years old. Yoda's species ages a bit slower than humans do. While Din Djarin saves the Baby Yoda from the IG droid, he also decides to bring the Baby Yoda back and hand it over to a very creepy Imperial client. Remember, the Mandalorians at this point had just been on the receiving end of a genocide, thanks to the Empire. So Din Djarin knowingly hands over this baby to a bunch of genocidal murderers. And he does this all for just a few bricks of Beskar iron, which he then turns into an extremely beautiful suit of armor, which honestly is almost kind of worth it. While Baby Yoda is in Imperial hands, Dr. Pershing runs all sorts of experiments on him and tries to extract blood samples for some weird clone soldier program. This is just one of many traumatizing episodes that the Baby Yoda has undergone. And we all know the more trauma a Force-sensitive child has, the more likely they are to turn into some dark side Sith lightning-wielding maniac. All things considered, Din Djarin is doing his best in what essentially was a situation that was forced upon him. He's not really dad material, but he's compassionate enough to learn and at least try to do better. The problem is Baby Yoda will most likely be a semi-helpless baby for quite some time, possibly the rest of Din Djarin's life, so the Mandalorian better get his act together. So there you have it, guys. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Are we being unfair by suggesting that Child Services should intervene in this relationship, or is Mando Dad doing an excellent job? Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. As usual, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.